This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. That's exactly what you're doing. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome to Lembit Öpik Live here on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is as best we can. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about today, with Donald Trump apparently forcing Benjamin Netanyahu, as the American president, forcing the Israeli president to stop killing people in Gaza. To what extent can Donald Trump take credit for that? To what extent has Netanyahu been forced into an action he didn't want to take? Also, what is the situation in terms of free political speech and a safe America under Donald Trump? A question which we left open with my guest today. That's John Fine. I'll tell you more about him in just a moment. But I want to start by making a couple of observations of my own, as always. First of all, it does seem to me, certainly at the time we're broadcasting this, that Donald Trump has achieved something of a coup. He stopped Netanyahu in his militaristic tracks and forced Netanyahu to begin to withdraw some of his troops from the Gaza area. Now, it must be said that the bombing and the shooting has continued to an extent, but it does look like Netanyahu's being forced to not do that. Why? Because Donald Trump has pretty much laid the law down and told Netanyahu what to do, including a humiliating, some would say, phone call to Qatar to apologize for an unauthorized bombing mission, which took place on Qatari soil. Now, bear in mind that for America, Qatar is a really important ally in the Middle East. So that apparently enraged Donald Trump. And we've got a very interesting picture to show you about that rather awkward moment when Netanyahu was forced to call Qatar and apologize. Now, I'm saying that Donald Trump is actually making significant progress towards forcing peace in a number of different parts of the world, not least the Middle East. Others seem to be much more skeptical. Now, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. If you're watching this in the archive, you'll know the extent to which we're right or wrong in terms of what we're saying here. But I put it to you that Donald Trump has got further, faster than any president in recent history in at least trying to de-escalate a fatally dangerous and volatile situation between Israel and Palestine. And that's got to be good. The killing is phenomenal. Estimates of 67,000 dead out of a population of just over 2 million. That is a horrendous death toll. Unquestionably, pretty much everybody in Gaza will know someone who's been killed. And then there are people who've been injured too. We've got starvation. We've got ruins. And we've had the uncertainty of what Israel intended to do, whether it was going to drive the Palestinians off that territory altogether. So a lot to talk about here. And inevitably, because it's a volatile situation, we might get some of it wrong. But that's the marvel, the wonder of actually having honest conversations. And there are a few more honest than my guest today. That's John Fine, our US political correspondent. You got a fancy name, haven't you? We gave you a really, really good title, didn't we? There it is. John Fine, USA political correspondent, Unprecedented TV. That's longer than my title. How does it feel to be all those words?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, it feels great.
Well, it's great to have you here, and you're the right person as our US political correspondent, John. Let's start, though, with something else you wanted to cover. It was unfinished business from the last time. John, you essentially posed some questions, and those are questions that you wanted to answer. And this was really about how do you make America safe? How do you well, essentially protect political freedom of expression. And this was on the basis of the horrible, unforgivable murder of Charlie Kirk, who was regarded as one of the great voices of the right. There he is. I think that may have been taken the day that he was killed. Certainly he was dressed in a similar way. Charlie Kirk may not be known to everybody in Europe, but he was a big, big name in America and attributed to bringing the younger vote in for Donald Trump, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yes. A huge. Charlie Kirk was a huge part of Donald Trump winning the presidency because he managed to do the Gen Z. He managed to bring all the Gen Z voters over into the left side, which is something that hadn't been done here in America in a long time. I mean, usually Gen Z voters usually always go to the right, but Charlie Kirk and his and the Turning Point USA team just went out there and they knocked on doors. I mean, literally knocked on doors and went into campuses, as you see him there in the picture, and talked to these people and gave them common sense debates, you know, basically, and talks where he let them speak what they wanted to say, and then he tried to change their mind. He said he wasn't about arguing. He was about changing hearts and minds, and that's what Charlie Kirk was all about. He still respected everybody that talked to him and respected their voice, but he tried to change their minds, of course, and their hearts and minds with his. And usually everything that not usually, but everything that would come out of Charlie Kirk's mouth was truth. Now, a lot of times people don't want to hear the truth, but that's just the way it was. But that's Charlie Kirk.
So and he was gunned down in front of thousands of people. They got the suspect, and they're still talking about what the court case will be like, and so on. But essentially, John, Charlie Kirk was what you might call a political assassination, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and that brings me to what I wanted to talk about, and because you asked me a question during our last interview, and I never really gave you an answer, so I feel like I owe you a follow-up answer to that question. And you asked me, how is America going to be safe? And well, so this is my answer. When we talk about making America safer, I think it's about being smart, not extreme. We don't have to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, but we can do a lot more to keep them out of the wrong hands. That means, better background checks. You can have stronger action on illegal trafficking, because we do have a lot of that here in the United States, and enforcing existing laws fairly, which a lot of that doesn't go on like it should. We also need early warning tools like red flag laws. Now, I'm a very big fan of red flag laws, so was Charlie Kirk.
What's a red flag law?
Well, a red flag law is laws that temporarily step in when somebody's clearly a danger to themselves or others. Okay, now it has to be fully with due process, of course, but this is just where, like, okay, say somebody's has been declared a psychotic or something like that by a judge, or they declared they're a serial killer, or some other type of infraction of the law that they have has been assessed against them that would make them a clear and present danger to the public. That's that, and red flag laws step in and stop it from happening, because a lot of times these people get loose on the public because there's some loophole, and red flag laws kind of stop those loopholes. So and we really don't have strong red flag laws here.
That wouldn't really work though if somebody like this murderer of Charlie Kirk hadn't. I don't know if he had a previous record or not, But if you didn't have a record of violence or attempting to do these kinds of things, you wouldn't necessarily pick them up. You've got 30,000 deaths a year in America, 30,000 people killed from gunshot wounds, half of them suicides, half of them homicides. That's 90 people a day, roughly, being killed with guns.
Well, those statistics are a little off, actually. But yes, we have 30,000, and more than half of those are suicides.
Yeah.
And the rest, and then you have some that are because of other actions like, prison and stuff like that, prison related or whatever. And so the amount that actually happens because of homicide is actually a lot smaller. Now, granted, yes, you told me that, here in the UK, that we hardly ever see a gun shooting. And it's true. I looked it up. But UK does have a lot of knife incidents where people die from knives and other such types of. So UK has its own share of crime. Now, is it the same as what here in America? No, of course not. UK, of course, America is much greater, much bigger, much more easier to access the ability to carry out such a crime. And plus, we have an atmosphere which I believe UK is just starting to experience. So I think that your crime is actually going to increase because of it, because you're the same type of wokeism that's been playing out here in America for some time is starting to play out in the UK too. So, and which would mean that you're going to have your share of the consequences that happen because of that, where you got people flooding in your borders, you're not taking that serious, or you got your legal people, your diplomatic people sitting there saying, "Oh, we all should just let these people do what they want to do," because and you got a lot of that going on right now in the UK too. And it's not as bad as it has been here in America, but it's getting there.
Anyway, a statistic for you. Let's say you're saying it's not 15,000 homicides. I thought it was about that, really, but it might be around that. If in the United Kingdom, we had 22 fatal homicides with guns in 2022.
Right. You also have a lot with other stuff.
If it was proportionate to
you do have your share of homicides. I'm not saying that discredits. Yes, we do have way too many homicides in America, and you have one homicide, you're having too many, and that goes UK and that goes America too. But that's the price of freedom. And Charlie used to say this all the time. The price of freedom. You're going to have stuff like this happen, because if you got freedom, it means free rights, free this. People are actually able to have free reign over their lives pretty much. And the only thing that's stopping them from doing bad, because there always is bad people. You're not going to get rid of that. You're not going to get rid of bad people. There are always, everywhere in the world, there's always going to be bad people, and there's always going to
there was pro rata, like for like. If you divided the number of fatal shootings, fatal homicides with guns in America to be down to the size of the United Kingdom, UK's got about a fifth the American population, so you'd say about a fifth of the number of gun shootings.
We still
that would be 3,000. That would be 3,000. We got 22. So not 22,000, just 22.
Said that we still have more than the UK, but. And I think that's because of a lot of the political nonsense. But I still believe that UK is that if they don't start making some common sense changes in the UK, they're going to wind up seeing some of the same stuff because of what's going on right now. And Charlie Kirk said this too. The UK is at that point in their history, that point that America was when Donald Trump came down the escalator. And a lot of this violence that happened here started the minute that Donald Trump went down that escalator. Okay. And a lot of the crime went up. Now believe it or not, the crime rates have actually been going way down because Trump has been coming really down hard on that. He's getting a lot of blowback from the right, because he's sending National Guard troops into these main cities, and he's bringing the crime down. He's bringing it way down, and homicides, right? So that number, that 30,000, I guarantee you, the next year when you check that same statistic, it's going to be much lower. But but now, that's the statistic it was when at the end of Biden's office. But when at the end of this term of Trump, I guarantee those statistics are going to be much lower.
Okay, but we're kind of getting into the statistics a bit. Sorry, John, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me finish. Okay, so anyway, and beyond law enforcement, I wanted to finish my thought. What we can do here to help make America safer. The last thing, this is really the most important, I think. Okay, is beyond law enforcement, investing in community programs such as mental health support, really needed, and teaching safe gun storage. A lot of gun shootings is done because of accidents, but because people don't know how to store their guns properly, and this can save lives without infringing on anybody's rights. It's really about, these are the three things that it's about. Okay, it's about prevention. Okay, it's about accountability, and then it's about common sense. And you put those three together, you're in good shape to make an American safer.
Why hasn't no one done it then?
Because you keep getting pulled back, keep getting pulled back from the right. See, the right don't want the violence to stop. The violence.
Not really. What's in it for the right?
Because it keeps them in office. Now, I know that's hard to believe, but a perfect example is Charlie Kirk's death. Okay, what happened? What happened after Charlie Kirk's death?
Go ahead. What happened? You tell me.
Okay, there was no riots. There was no fighting in the streets. They didn't burn any cars. There was no windows busted. Everybody was praying and doing those kind of things and trying to figure out how can we make ourselves better and safer and everything. All right. That's what was coming out the left. Okay. What happened? Well, a criminal gets has a legal police move done on him where he put his head down with his knee, which is taught to our law enforcement, right? But because that person was black in color, they burned down buildings, they had riots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The right has a group called Antifa, and they are huge right now. And right now Donald Trump is coming down hard on them too, because Antifa shows up. And Antifa has been one of the groups that has been like Charlie Kirk when they go in and they try to talk to these, and they're just going in and talking. And sometimes it's before they even get set up. The Antifa people are coming in, they're destroying their table, they're threatening them, they're hitting them, in the face, in the gut, and stuff like this. And this has been going on for some time in America, and it's not put on TV. The riots are, and what do they say? What does the press says? Oh, it's mostly peaceful. And in the background, you see cars burning and windows busted. It's mostly peaceful? Really? Okay, no, that's not peaceful. Peaceful is where two people can sit there and carry on without anything getting damaged, without property getting damaged, without cars getting damaged, without people getting damaged.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is with the far right, if they can keep us all doing that, right, and then they give us this fake narrative of, oh, well, we're going to protect this, we're going to give you the right to this, and you're going to have this, and they're going to have this, and those people believe it. They believe it. They get into this. There's a there was a thing on the internet that showed there's a practice in one of the countries. I can't remember which one it is, but they have this ritual where they bring these goats in, right? And in the center of this, they bring them in a circle. They got all these people that are around it, and the goats come in. And when they bring the goats in, at first the goats are being led by a person, right? And then they make the last goat. They make it to where he's even with the first, the first and last goats are all, and then they're following each other in a circle. And then the human moves out, and even though that fire in the center is endangering those goats' life, they will not move from that position, right? And it's because they get in that rut of thinking, well, they're gonna hook us up. They're gonna fix us. They're gonna do this. We're safe. We're safe as long as we stay like this. As long as we stay in this circle, And they're not. They're actually in danger.
It's an odd analogy, John, but I kind of just stuck about it.
The thing is, that's what you have here on the far right. They keep saying the same things over and over again, and they keep saying they're going to have results, and they don't. Where you have the left that actually produce common sense results. The left is always trying to prevention. And now this is not just because of the left. These are conservative values. And any conservative will tell you prevention, accountability, and common sense.
But you're saying left. I would have put Democrats as left and Republicans as right. That's what's confusing me.
No, the Democrats are the left.
Yeah,
No.
Democrats are left and Republicans are right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing. It sounds to me that you're saying the left is trying to prevent things and the right isn't.
No, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
You're trying to confuse me.
I'm not trying to trick you. I just want to make sure I get this.
Look at you. Anyway,
I'm not trying to trick you.
I know that you're a liberal, and so you're going to defend them somewhat. But the thing is, you won't get a liberal that will hold dear to them the prevention, the accountability, and the common sense. Okay. Right? They usually go for the far, not a far, now a moderate liberal, yes, and a moderate conservative, yes, right? But anytime you go to the far of any side, whether it's far left or far right, that's when you start to get into the crazy ideals that come out of those political parties. And the thing is right now the Democratic Party is as far right as you can get, and of this wokeism that they're trying to. The left. I'm sorry, you didn't say.
I thought you meant. I thought you meant the wrong way. Yeah.
The far left.
Right.
The far left is about as far as you can get on the far left.
Fine.
Okay.
No, we cleared that one up. Yeah. Democrats left, Republicans right. Yep. I got. No, that's what I was saying. We got to go.
And that's what we're dealing with now.
Yeah,
so anyway,
okay.
and
Go ahead.
so. Fortunately, now Trump's a moderate. Believe it or not, he's a moderate. He's always been a moderate, but now he is having to use some extreme to try to fix what's been broken, right? But he's always been a moderate. I don't have a problem with moderates. I don't care if they're left or right. Moderates always have good policies, whether they're a conservative or a liberal. A liberal, you'll find your best legislative accomplishments come from moderates.
So let's look at. I think we've covered the questions that you wanted to answer on that. After the break, we're going to look at one of our very important expose shows, really, Dire Consequences. I want to talk to you about what Donald Trump's been doing in terms of peace in Gaza. Yes, she's on at least twice a week. Could end up being even more. She's very, very busy for us here. Please do subscribe. Please go to Unprecedented TV on YouTube. If you can't find it easy, put Unprecedented TV Lembit, and it'll come straight up. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe for now. Please do subscribe. It helps us so much as those numbers go up. But let's go back to John. John, time's racing on, but I want to talk to you about the other thing that's been developing. And even in a day or two, things may have developed. But it does look that, John, your president, Donald Trump, has created something of a breakthrough. Now, not everyone's keen on this. I was talking about this on the X social network. A lot of people criticizing me for praising Trump. But Trump seems to have forced Netanyahu to do some quite remarkable things. Am I wrong to think that Donald Trump has actually made a breakthrough, at least as far as we know at this time when we're broadcasting?
No, you're not wrong. But in political terms, we call that a bully pulpit. And a bully pulpit is where a president uses his power and influence to accomplish a mission, whatever that mission may be. Now, Trump's mission, the two missions that he stated, actually promised his base, was that he would end the Israel war and that he would end the Ukraine war. Right now, and both of those missions have been going kind of poorly at first. So I think this is Trump using his bully pulpit because and his power and influence to say, hey, all right, enough of this tit and tat. You know, we need to get down to business here because I'm not going to draw this out. This is not going to be a long drawn out process. Y'all are hurting me politically. So, and of course, the United States definitely has a bully pulpit if they want to use it. Now, Biden didn't know how to use that bully pulpit. He didn't even know there was one. But Trump knows it. I mean, he knows it, and he's not afraid to use it either.
Now he did a very interesting thing. He got Benjamin Netanyahu to phone Qatar, the head of Qatar, the Qatari nation, and apologize. Here's a picture of it. On camera, Trump forced Netanyahu to apologize because Trump's got the phone on his lap. It's like the head teacher getting a teenager in and saying, "You're gonna apologize for what you did. You bombed Qatar. You need to get this right. Do this. It's a beautiful thing to say sorry. You're gonna do it now before you leave my office." And he does it. He's got Netanyahu apologizing for something that Netanyahu sanctioned. That is bully pulpit, to use your phrase, that's very most dramatic. How did he do that?
It is. Well, it's because he has a lot of power and influence. And if you get a president that knows that he has that and knows how to use it, then you'll see stuff like this. You've seen a lot of this out of Reagan. Reagan used the bully pulpit quite a bit. Of course, he was a little bit more diplomatic, but there was times that he wasn't. There was times that, so.
It kind of looks here that, I don't know if this is exactly what happened, but it looks like Donald Trump's given him a script and the phone, and he's making him read it out.
Yeah, well, look at the face on Trump. You can tell he's totally disappointed of what's of thing that he. But that kind of look to me tells me he's not disappointed in the process. He's disappointed in the fact that he has to coax Netanyahu to do this, and it should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah,
and I think that's the way Trump sees it. But I think it's great. I mean, I really do. I think it's great that he's doing this, and he has really brokered a great deal in the Middle East. It's a peace deal like none other. I mean, I don't think you'll ever find a peace deal like this ever in history. I think this is one of the reasons why he's been nominated for the.
He's been nominated. There's a huge debate about that and who's going to win it. Probably by the time people are watching this, they might have an idea who's won that peace prize. But back to this thing with Trump. Trump really does seem to have tremendous power. I suppose it's because America bankrolls a lot of what Israel does, but Trump is willing to use that power, use that force to get Netanyahu to do what Trump wants him to do, which is get peace. I have no doubt Donald Trump wants to get the Nobel Prize for Peace. I don't mind that. It's ambitious because he's bringing people together, and in a way he's sort of forcing Israel and Palestine to start talking. Now, those flags can't possibly be anything other than, because they can't be blowing in different directions. But politically, they probably do. But he's getting them to talk. And that's a remarkable thing. This actually is saving lives, in my view, John.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not just money that America has the power. It also has in its military force. I mean, we have the largest military force. I mean, there's not a country that can even come close to our force, and the amount of resources and power that we can put behind that force. So, and Trump knows that, and he showed that in his first presidency. You know, he did things in his first presidency that people thought he was nuts. I mean, he was the first president in history to drop a Moab, right? And that, I don't know, that's the mother of all bombs, you know, and it's the largest non-nuclear bomb that exists in the world. They're actually cost a fortune, and they're huge, and they will level a huge area. He dropped them on the Afghanistan terrorists or whatever they were, you know. So, and people know this. See, they see what he did in his first one, because when Trump says, "Hey, you're going to regret not help or not doing something," if he says that, the leaders of the world know he means it, and he will use whatever means that he has at his disposal, whether it be cyber or whether it be bombs or whether it be diplomacy, whatever. He's going to use whatever means at his disposal to get that job done.
So there's a lot of jubilation on both sides, really, Israel and Palestine, because at least at the time of this first broadcast, maybe the archive viewing will tell you, dear viewer, if we're right or wrong, but it seems that Trump is actually de-escalating the situation. What I think is going to happen is there'll still be an underlying level of violence, but it'll be a lot less than there is at the moment. And I think that's still a big achievement. There's still an underlying level of violence in Northern Ireland, but it's so much less than there used to be. So I'll express an opinion here. I personally think that Donald Trump will probably develop some kind of a serious peace here. And the killing will stop or largely stop. What do you think?
I think he will. And I mean, he has ended more wars since he's been president, both the first term and this one, than any president in history, you know, and he didn't get a credit for a lot of that. A lot of these negotiations and diplomacy, where he's actually ended small little wars from one end of the world to the other, but he's ended quite a few. You can actually research that information and find out how many. But because Trump, you know, but you will hear Trump say, you know, he believes in peace through strength. You know, that is one of his biggest terms that you'll hear him say, and this is him showing strength, and that's how you're going to get peace, because you're not going to get peace through appeasement. Okay, it's not going to work. And you know, what was his name? Well, for instance, World War II, and you had Churchill and the Chamberlain. Okay, Chamberlain, yeah. Okay, Chamberlain wanted to do appeasement. Churchill wanted to do peace through strength. And who was right? Churchill. Yeah. So yeah.
So just finishing off on this. Once again, we're making predictions now in a live and dynamic environment. Will Donald Trump be able to restore a peace and restore Palestine? Because Donald Trump's talking about a two-state solution. A lot of people are talking about that. Israel doesn't want that. Or no, let me be precise. Netanyahu doesn't want that. I'm not sure what the opinion polls in Israel would say, but Netanyahu doesn't want that. It seems to me at the moment, if this actually goes the way Trump wants it, there will be a two-state solution. Without us going deep and heavy into where we stand on it, can that be delivered between Trump and Netanyahu when he's so against it, Netanyahu?
You know, I hear people use that term, and technically they've already are at the two-state solution, and it hasn't been working. Okay, and you'll hear Charlie Kirk say this in his videos, and I really never thought about it, but he said the two-state solution is what they've been trying to do. All right, and I don't think it myself personally. I don't think it's a two-state solution. I don't think it'll work. I think a real estate solution will. And
what do you mean by real estate? What do you mean by real estate solution?
Well, you got all them Arab countries right there with all that land, and a lot of it they ain't doing nothing with it. And really that's all this is over is land. And if those Arab countries really cared, they could free up land and quit trying to take Israel's land. And it's a real estate solution. So
that's a whole new debate. But okay, we're still talking about a two-state solution. I think the Gazan population says this is our territory. We have every right to be here.
Well, yeah, I mean, and Israel was fine with that. Israel was fine with Gaza staying where they are, but the problem is they wasn't fine with staying with. They kept trying to it's like we have a saying here in America: you give them a cookie and they're going to want a glass of milk.
Yeah,
well,
but
they kept wanting their glass of milk. Israel gave them the cookie, and then they wanted the glass of milk.
But Israel's been grabbing the cookie. Israel's been building illegally, and this is internationally recognized, on land which they've occupied. The United Nations has got resolutions on this. They're saying, no, Israel, you're not supposed to be doing this.
I heard that they had worked out solutions with those people in that area to do that, but
not so much, I don't think. But that's once again we're going into minutiae. I want to finish with the big picture question: can Trump pull this off? Can he stop people being killed on both sides?
Yes, of course, and I do believe that. Yes, okay, Israel needs to stop infringing on Gaza and just leave them alone. Put up a daggum wall if you have to. Israel's very good at putting up walls. They got, so put up a wall and let Gaza alone, and put up a big sign on the wall that says, no Israelis beyond this point, just like we did over there in Korea. Put a demilitarization zone right there in Gaza, and that's it. You don't cross the demilitarized zone, let Gaza do their thing, if that's fine. But I don't think this is as much about Gaza as it is about Palestinians. I think it's more about Palestinians than it is Gaza. I think Gaza is just a front that the Palestinians are using to try to get to Israel myself.
Well, that's really interesting. I realize now you and I probably have slightly different views, perhaps quite substantially different views about the situation there. But just summarizing the two things you've covered. First of all, you're saying that you build tolerance, you dismantle hatred and violence in America, and political violence. And secondly, you're saying that Trump can actually pull off some kind of a deal which will stop people being killed between Israel and Palestine.
Well, he has actually. He's already did. I mean, he's pulled it off. Now, the key, of course, is whether or not they want to stick to it. And there was a really good deal in play his first office, and people didn't stick to it. And the next president, whoever that may be, although a lot of people think it's going to be J.D. Vance, that president needs to carry on with that so that it doesn't creep back to the old what we had before. I think they can actually do some good with this. What the Donald Trump, what he's created, there's some real good diplomacy that could come out of this, and people and lives could be saved. And I think that Netanyahu would actually follow the plan. And I'm not sure about the Hamas, whether they would or not, but they're saying right now that they would. So at least you got them at the table, and that's a good place to be.
Well, let's finish on that optimistic point. Thanks, John. I'm tempted to have a huge, big debate with you about Israel and Palestine, which I don't normally do, but we'll leave it there for now. That's John Fine, our US political correspondent, and have your say as well. Very happy to have a discussion on X. I'll just add two more thoughts of my own. Number one, Donald Trump does seem to have done something very significant, and we'll see as the days roll on how significant, and we'll certainly return to this a number of times on a number of shows here on Unprecedented TV. And the second thing is where John started. He did answer two questions. How do you make America safe again? And how do you deal with political violence? Wonder what you think of what John said. Have your say at X. Please subscribe. Unprecedented TV on YouTube. Just take you a moment to do it. Won't cost you anything for now. And I'd love you to do that because it helps us with the numbers of subscribers going up. In the meantime, lots of other shows coming up. Do keep an eye and go to the archive at our Unprecedented TV YouTube as well. Thanks very much to John Fine from America there. Thank you very much to the team. But more than anything, thanks to you for having the courage of your convictions to talk, to listen to the most free speech channel, we believe, anywhere on the airwaves and in the networks. I'm Lembit Öpik. That was Lembit Öpik live here on Unprecedented. Have a good day.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages.